you guys to another amazing night with yours truly, Sylvia Camille. I hope you've had a blessed week and you've enjoyed some of this beautiful sunshine. And remember, the word of the week last week was stay focused. So anything in your life on this life's journey, I hope you stay focused. But I got a new word for you this week. The word is miracle. Miracles, an event that appears inequitable by the laws of nature, and so is held to be supernatural in origin or an act of God. So when miracles happen, supernatural intervenes and it's an act of God. And the women that I have on our show this evening, they're going to share some of those miracles. So I'm going to first introduce our first guest, Maxine Williams Wright. Come on into the studio room.
Hello. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank
Maxine,
you, Sylvia.
Maxine is a playwright, guys, an author, a poet, and an actress, and so much more. And we're gonna get back onto her. But let's also introduce Miss Dorothy Hart.
Hello, everyone.
Miss Dorothy Hart is a personal and professional coach.
Yes, thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. And then we also have Miss Katrina Renette. She's going to help me pronounce her last name.
Ravenel.
Ravenel, I had it right. She's a wellness practitioner. She helps her clients reverse disease naturally. So we're just going to jump right on in, ladies, because we have so much to talk about and so much to encourage and share with people. Maxine, as the playwright, the poet, and the actress, let's talk about this book that you have out. Testimonies, God is unfolding miracles.
Yes. What an honor. I was really inspired to write this book, Sylvia, after listening to a sermon I heard one Sunday in September of last year. The minister, we had a guest minister at church, and he spoke about, miracles performed in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, miracles performed in the New Testament by Jesus. So, and after the sermon, he told about his own personal testimony, how he had suffered with lesions from his waist down. And he didn't know what had happened. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor said he just had a matter of time, and they were going to cover his entire body. It was nothing they could do. Nothing at all. So at this point, he said him and his wife began to fast and began to pray. That's all he knew to do. And he said one evening while he was resting, he felt this warm sensation that came all over him. So he said he got up and he went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. He pulled down his PJs and he looked in the mirror, and there was no lesions on his body. The lesions were as bad as leprosy or worse. That's how bad they were. But everything was clear. He said his legs looked like they were 20, like he was 25 years old. And when I heard that, I'm going like, oh my goodness, I know all things are possible with God. I said, but stuff like this needs to be heard. People need to read about it. So I just left it alone. And later on, my spirit just began to get restless. I don't know why, because I'm going like, okay, what's going on? I was tossing and turning. I couldn't focus. God said, I need you to do something. Like, what? I need you to tell my miracles, tell my stories. And I'm going like, I'm sitting here like, well, how to do that? Having a conversation with myself. How am I going to do that? Mm-hmm. And then at that point, that's when faces started to surface. So that was the beginning of the journey. That was the beginning of the journey, because more people need to know our stories. You have a story. Dorothy and Katrina have a story, but we share our stories with personal friends or family members. And more people need to hear life-changing moments to let them know that God is still real. He's still performing miracles today like he did in the Old Testament and the New Testament. He has not stopped.
Yes. So that's how the selection of the people came about. Did you interview people?
No, well, actually, the selection of the people came about. I asked God for that because I wanted him to remove Maxine. Because Maxine want to put certain people in there. So I said, help me, God, help me. Some faces surface immediately. Dorothy and Katrina, they surfaced immediately. Wow. Some came later. So I started calling. I sent text messages. I did it that way. Some people were able and some people were not. Some people were already on God's assignment. So that's just how it was. He brought the people to me.
Mhm.
He selected the people. They just answered, and they were obedient. They were just obedient.
Awesome. Before we go into Dorothy and Katrina's testimonies, I want to know about the writing process for it. How long did it take you to write this book?
You won't believe it if I tell you.
No, it was
actually took. Okay, right. So I started writing the book in October. I was done in December. I was done in December. Yes, ma'am. I was done in December. My grandson was here with me during the time, and I still work a full-time job. So I would sit here all day at work. And then when I punched out at 5 o'clock, I started writing. I just started writing. But one thing that I didn't share with you was how something else came about. You know how we have naysayers in our circles sometimes. So sometimes it's not always meant for bad. Sometimes those naysayers make you step outside your comfort zone and push you. And this is exactly what happened, because something came in my spirit. God planted in my spirit after each testimony to write an inspirational thought. And I'm going like, who am I to write something after a person's testimony, a story? Who am I? He said, I need you to do that. I had no clue. That's the miraculous part. I had no clue about that. Each time I read a story, I just typed. It's nothing I looked up or punched on. I just typed. I just let my fingers go. And that was it. That was the amazing part about this book. And some people have said, that's what I like best about the book, the inspirational thoughts. And I said, wow. I had no idea.
I love it. We're going to discuss some of them. The life-changing testimonies. Is enough one of those thoughts?
Yes. Give you one of those thoughts?
Enough. I saw that.
Enough. Oh, okay. Enough is the beginning of my story. Enough is the beginning of my story when I went through emotional abuse. You can't imagine what I went through at a young age. So that was the beginning of my story. And then the next one was You Are the Third Call. That's when I was going through a financial hardship. I was struggling then. But during that time, Sylvia, when I was going through my hardships, when I was unemployed or either working part-time, that's when those gifts surfaced. I never knew I could write. I never took a writing class. I didn't know I had the gift of writing. It's just planted in my spirit one day, the same way I got the book. I had never written a play. The first play I wrote, I saw a vision of a girl on the stage. I didn't wake up that morning saying I'm going to write a play. I was just sitting in my computer, behind my computer as I usually do, with my legs propped up, ain't having anything to do, looking dumb and stupid. just looking in La La Land. A lot of times I don't have the TV on or anything on to distract me. I'm just in silence. So, and I saw a vision of a girl, and she was on the stage. I'm going like, what is that about? I kind of shook my head like, I don't know what that is. So she came back again. So I said, okay, what you want me to do with this? I turned around and started writing a play. I sat there all day and I wrote 7 scenes to a play. Had never written a play. I had adapted a play before, but not my play of my own. And I'm going like, oh, he said, this is your gift. I said, okay. Like I said, I've never taken a writing class. I wasn't good in English, in language arts. It was a gift. He said, this is your gift.
Wow. That's God.
When she said that, I love how God operates when we are down.
Yes.
You put something in your spirit and then it can blossom to something beautiful. But you have to get to the depth of sadness, of depression, or whatever it is, and something positive.
It will. It will.
So those testimonies. We're going to come back to you some more, Maxine. Miss Dorothy, the personal and professional coach. Tell us about that career. Let's talk to us about that life. What is that all about? And how did you get there?
Oh my. It's a gift. It's another one of those gifts that come from God. You know, you have friends and they begin, and other people, they begin to know who you are, and they begin to see and understand the relationship that you have with Christ. So when something goes wrong, they come to you and want advice, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was the type of person that wanted to give them good, wise counsel. I never wanted to give them worldly counsel. So I will always seek the word of God. You know, what should I tell this person? I will always ask God for help. You know, how should I guide or lead this person? So then I found myself coaching people all the time, on the phone 24/7, talking to people and coaching people. So then I said, I want to learn more about coaching, because this is what I'm doing. God said, that's your gift. Just like he said to Max, he said, that's your gift. So then I reached out to Trim Coaching and joined Executive Life Coaching, and went through the Executive Life Coaching process for over a year to help me to get my vision together and get my strategy together, and to be more influential in helping others navigate through what they were going through, you know. And all of my coaching wasn't when people were going through sad things or needed help through relationship. It was, some people will ask me questions about buying a house or going into business. So I found myself coaching about a lot of things I had no wisdom or knowledge of or really been successful in myself. But God used that to develop and nurture the gift on the inside of me. So he just sent people in my path and it grew from there.
Awesome. Awesome. And you are now a full-time writer. How are you enjoying that?
I'm enjoying it. I love it. And, you know, like Maxine said, you know, when God gives you a gift, he gives you everything you need for that gift. You know, I never was a writer. I like to talk. I just like, but I never like to write. Writing required so much. But now I like to put my thoughts down, you know, on paper. And it helps me, because a lot of times when you're talking and helping other people, you're hurting yourself, you know, and then you find yourself healing from what you're telling them. So when I'm going through, I don't talk a lot to other people. I write. So that's where my stories began. They began from journaling. And when I began to journal, I began to realize, okay, this could help somebody, you know? So I just started writing more and more and more. And I love it. You know, even when I was in high school and in college, I wrote because I had to. I didn't want to. I wrote because it was an assignment, you know, right. And I had to get my passing grade. But now I do it because I want to talk to God. And that's how I talk to him sometimes. You know, I call it my quiet time. And I sit down and I write. When he speaks back to me, I write it down because I want to refer back to that. Because I know God has already answered that prayer in our time together, and I have it on paper.
Awesome. I want to talk about your testimony in the story, in the book, Faith versus Reality. Tell us about your mantra and how it relates to your testimony that you've shared in the book for people to read.
Okay. So I went through a lot of things in life, and even as going through college and through high school and through my young adult life, I went through a lot of things. And it took faith to get me there. I've always been in church. I grew up in church, but it was those challenges that I had throughout my peer years and my young adult life years and in my adult years now. The challenges that I had to realize that in order to get through this, I had to have faith. I couldn't look at the situation the way that it was, because if I looked at the situation, I was not going to be successful. I had to trust God in everything that I went through. I mean, God's shown himself favorable in my life many, many times. I can remember once I had a car accident, you know, and the car went off the road and it flipped up in the sky, and the wheels on the car went out flat, like, you know, like that when it landed. I had my daughter in the car, one of her friends, and I just threw my hands up in the air and said, Jesus, you know, you just got to take care of us. Don't let nothing happen to us. Everybody thought we were dead. But I trust God enough to take care of us in that instance. And we came out of the car without a scratch. The car was total. Nothing happened. So it was the faith. I knew when to call on God and to trust him in every situation, in every instance, you know. to trust God. I have lost loved ones. I've seen family members just break down and cry and go through things, but the faith that God put on the inside of me to trust me anyhow. I've had loved ones that was passing, and I would tell the family, don't speak it to me. I don't want to hear those words. I would have faith in God enough to know that they're gonna make it through. And they made it through, and how would I know that? Because the testimony come from them saying, Auntie Dorothy or Auntie Diane, and some of my family call me Diane, came and got me. I was going into heaven and she came and got me.
Oh my God.
So that's a confirmation from God that my faith in him and what he does, not what I done, but what God will do for you when you believe and you trust in him. So that's where I got my writing from faith versus reality. I couldn't look at the situation because the situation looked detrimental, but my faith let me know that God can and he will, and he did. So God's faith brought me through a lot of things. He brought me through bad relationships. He brought me through situations on the job. God put friends in my life to have my back when I had nobody to have my back. That was faith, having the faith for him to open the door. He might not come himself, but he'll send somebody to come and do it. So it's me sharing that testimony with others, letting them know that God is real, will turn an unbeliever, like she said, into a believer. So I am one of those that's willing to share, and I try not to hide behind what it looks like, because it might look good. It ain't always good. It's not always good. So I just trust God in everything. And God is my reality,
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll come back to you. Now, Miss Katrina is our wellness practitioner who helps her clients reverse disease naturally. And you have training in social work, public health, and wellness counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about unconditional love and your testimony that you're going to allow everybody to read in the book.
Okay, let's see. Unconditional love. It comes from a place where, we are told, by doctors, a lot of us, like, Dorothy was just saying, you could have this disease, this illness or whatever, right? And it could just feel hopeless, your situation. And so I knew I learned along the way, as I was doing my research, that there are millions of children that have learning disabilities, right? Millions. And all of those children in the millions are deficient in just 1 or 2 mineral supplements. Mm-hmm. And the doctor's not telling them this. Their pediatrician's not telling them this. No one is having this conversation. And so in my practice, I have those hard conversations that there's a lot of information that's out there, but we're not getting it, right? And by the time we get it, it looks more like propaganda to me than anything else, And so when I had my son and I was having all kind of issues with my pregnancy, and all I found out later that I was just deficient in just one supplement. That supplement we assume is in the prenatal vitamins, but there are some, and I'm at the point now. Let me just insert this. I'm at the point now. Unconditional love is not just about my son. It's just not about me. It's just not about my friends. My journey is beyond that now. It's like I can pretty much tell where you're from, what state you're from. I already know your condition. If you're like, let's say from Ohio or a place like that, I already know what chances are you're going to have lupus or breast cancer, or you're going to have an infertility issue. I got this job so to the point where I can pretty much know the region and the area you come from. I already know your condition. So here's what a deficiency look like. Let's say in China, in rural China, there are about 10 million people who have a learning disability. Okay, 10 million. And then in some books that I've read, it'll show you like this. It'll say they began to drop, let's say iodine drop in the river where everybody drinks from, the animals drink from, because whatever situations we have, animals and cattle have the same situations too, right? as far as like infertility or digestive health issues or whatever. So so here's a story in this book that I found where there was a young man that was bringing shame on his family in China. And that looked like he was unclothing. He was taking off his clothes. You know, he was bringing dishonor to his family. And once he got that iodine, right, the IQ increased. He started bringing shame upon his family. He started keeping his clothes on. So across the nation, we're having these issues with our children. It could look like a learning disability. They use all these terms, learning disability, you know, ADD, ADHD. And we think that all of our children have these unique set of circumstances. No, what's happening is all of these children are deficient in iodine. We're not taking iodine if it's not in your diet, right? And if you don't know to particularly, specifically go and get that particular supplement, you're not going to know. So there's a quote that I have in the book. And this quote says that it says, it talks about how you're able to, that a person that is deficient in iodine, that there's no way that you can receive optimal health, right, without iodine. That's how important it is. And so you might assume it's in the prenatal vitamin. You know, when a woman is having in conception, you can't assume that it's in your prenatal vitamin, and then you can't assume that there's enough, right? And so because of this one deficiency, I've been able to connect, you know, folks is having so many other issues. But anyway, so in the book, you know, I just share unconditional love. I talk about my son. I talk about what it looked like, because there was no precedent at this point for me to say, oh, okay, just give him this particular mineral. This gonna solve everything. There was nothing for me to go on. Right? There's nothing on the internet for me to go on. I had to go outside the internet. I had to really go into trust and go to God and go into the discernment and get everything it is that I needed. You know what I'm saying? To go out on faith and say, you know what? I'm going to give it to him. And then I'm going to take it too. It helped take care of his situation, right? It took care of my situation. Yes, my son still has a learning disability, but he's about to go to college, right? Take up some culinary art. He was a leadership. He just in his school. He just graduated high school. He's in a STEP program where he's like working. There are employers that want to hire my son, right? And so, like Maxine said in the book, when man says no, God says yes. It was just like that. It was just like that for me.
Awesome. That is a beautiful story. And as I sit here and listen to all of you all, I can't help but reflect on my own miracle, because I thought I wasn't going to be able to have a baby. My husband and I, we went to the doctor. You know how newlyweds are. Everybody want to have a baby. And I left it in the hands of God. And when Maxine was describing the gentleman who had his miracle, I really remember, like, I felt God in our bedroom one night, and he came over my body and told me, don't move. Just and when I tell people about the birth of my son and that I know it was God and the prayer that I prayed, you know, we're going to church, I know it's only about God, but you have to first believe, and you have to tell what you want and what you need.
Yes.
So it's important that this story is going to touch a lot of lives, Miss Maxine. It's going to touch a lot of lives. Your testimonies are heart-wrenching, you know, because the thing that you have shared, not just you have gone through it, other people. And if we don't share our stories, then we can't help anybody. So I just love it. I love it. I want to talk about the unbeliever. Testimonies would make an unbeliever a believer. Why do you all think it's so hard for people to believe? Anybody?
Well, for me, I think because so many people are feeling hopeless. They don't have anything to grasp on. They just don't. They feel hopeless. So that's why testimonies is so important. We got to share these stories to let them know that it's okay. What you're going through, you're not the only person who has gone through this. There are other people that have gone through this. People have gone much worse. Like, for instance, I know a lot of people have gone through foreclosures. During a period, the third chapter in the book is called Removed from the List. And I shared it because my house was under foreclosure when I didn't have anything. The mortgage company called all the time. I wouldn't answer. Like, I don't have anything to tell you. I mean, only thing I was managing to do was pay my car note, make sure my basic utilities were on. That's all I could do. And so when I finally got a job, I called them up and said, okay, I'm ready to make arrangements. And I said, what happened to the foreclosure? She said, I don't know, Miss Wright. Your name is not on the list. I'm going like, what do you mean? Because every day when I went home, I would stick my head around the corner. Oh, my stuff ain't set out yet. Every day I did this. My stuff ain't set out yet. I went 1 year without paying my mortgage.
Oh my God.
1 year. And she said, your name got removed from the list. I don't know what happened, but your name just got removed. Just like that. And I was at work and I said, oh, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then I didn't have to pay the money that I owed. She put it on the back end. I didn't have to come up with anything. Nothing. So I know he works, and I want other people that are in that situation, just believe, have faith, and he will work it out for you. He just will.
Oh my God.
Will.
You just touched on give hope to the hopeless. This is
yes, give hope.
Yeah.
I just had to share that, because give hope, especially during this time, because so many people have lost their jobs.
Right.
So many people are in the situation of losing their homes. A lot of people during this pandemic.
I want you all to talk about providing light in the midst of darkness. And we can jump right into COVID-19 with this, because it has been dark for many people. So what would you say to the people who have experienced anything going on? How would you provide light in the midst of darkness to them in words?
When I like to add this. I think about when you was talking about hopeless and darkness, and that's something that I pray to do, is help people get their power back when it comes to health. Okay, and I'm just going to pretty much stick to health here, because let's say, for example, someone's told they had scurvy, right? And you think, oh my God, I got scurvy, and because of that, right, you can end up with your nose could hemorrhage. You could die from scurvy, right? This means your nose hemorrhage. You hemorrhage from your nose. You hemorrhage from your gums, so your teeth fall out. You hemorrhage from your organs, till your organs fall out, right? Or till all the blood is released. You lost so much blood, then a person just died in a matter of no time, right? That they could feel hopeless. But what if I come along and I share with you instead that you have a vitamin C deficiency? See, just that fast to turn everything around. They say he who controls the information controls the world, right? Let's say if we change the information that you're receiving, you don't have scurvy no more. You don't have a disease no more. You can handle a vitamin C deficiency. You get your power back, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to take care of that vitamin C deficiency. But as long as you think you have scurvy, you're going to be feel powerless. Right. And that's the difference of, and that's what I'm hoping to do here, is give people their power back. Right. So they don't be hopeless. So they don't be in the dark.
I love it. Yeah. Ooh, I got to set me some appointments. I love it. I don't need to be in the dark. I need to know what my deficiency is, and hey, change it. I'll be empowered. I love it. I got this from the clip from the promo. When the Most High God has a mission for you, He will snatch you from the depths of your path. I think it's path. He will replace your pain with gain. Who wants to talk about that? I just thought this was
that is good. That is really, really good. And it's when you're going through your lowest, it's when God birthed the greatest out of you. That's where your uniqueness come from, when you're at your lowest and you're going through so much pain and heartache. And right now with COVID going on, all of us have gone through a lot of pain and heartache, because we've lost loved ones, people that's near and dear to us. And we felt oftentimes we couldn't help them, but it's that pain with us hurting that we draw closer to God, and we have that faith, and God instilled in us a message to give hope to the hopeless, to help those that needed to hear from him the most. Bringing that relationship. Somewhere in the Proverbs 19:21, it says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So God's purpose prevailed through all of us that are still here and are able to share about what we've gone through, what we've seen, and, and us being the reality of our faith, I go back to my faith versus the reality. A lot of people have taken the COVID shots and a lot of people have not taken the COVID shot. All right. And a lot of people are dependent on the COVID shot. But there's many of us who are dependent on God's word and our faith and belief in God and saying, Lord, you cover me through this situation. So we just have to share our testimonies with people so that they can see what our God has done for us and they believe that on a daily basis.
You all gonna have another book out soon.
We're waiting on Maxine. We're waiting on Max.
You all have another book out. I can feel it. I can see it. God has purpose for imperfections. I love that.
That's good.
Who
Yeah.
wants to talk about it?
We are all imperfect beings.
Yes, we are.
He can use anyone.
That's right.
That's what I get from that.
Mhm.
Just because you don't have a PhD, you might not even have a BS or a BA. He can use anyone.
Yeah.
How long?
Anyone he can use.
I love when you said that in life, because I'm looking at you all. I know I'm so much younger than you all. How long do you think?
How do you know that? How do you know that?
But when I'm listening to you all with you all's wisdom, and for some of my young viewers who might be watching, how long do you all think it takes for what we just said for people to really understand that God can use you in your ugliness? You don't have to be perfect, because the millennials, and I have a teenage son, I don't think sometimes, because they see what they see on television. We see what we see on television. We think that is the it all. But I'm just reflecting as you're all thinking and saying, oh, they are really preaching into me. So I want to know, how long did it take for you all in your journey to really grasp and understand that God can use you no matter what?
Can I say this to help accelerate what help my purpose and passion, accelerate is when I turn off the noise. So let's say what happens when you turn off social media, you turn off the television, you turn off, all of the rhetoric in your head. You just turn it all off. I shut it down for like 6 months. Right. Mm-hmm. And then that way, guess what happens when you turn everything down? You can hear the Most High. You can hear it, accelerates everything. And I was like, because when I started my journey, I wasn't looking to heal anybody. I was just trying to get to the bottom of my son and my situation. Mm-hmm. But then as I was researching, and that's by way of books, not the internet, I was like, oh my God, this person has this issue. This person has this issue. This person has this issue. Oh my God, I just talked to somebody about this. Mm-hmm. Right. So I ended up, it's almost like I was just praying like, Lord, can you show me how to heal my son and myself? And it's like, no, I'm going to show you everybody situation. So now I can see in that type of abundance. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm working on a few books myself, but that's how you accelerate turning that off, and you can hear it. It's your hearing and your discernment and everything else. So you're not being led. Again, he who controls the information controls the world. So you got to shut that information off.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Miss Dorothy, what were you getting ready to say?
You just knew it, huh?
Yeah.
No, I was just praising God for that, because that's good information, Katrina. That is point. That's on, because it's intimacy. It's called relationship. And it's when you get your brokenness, it's where you get your breakthrough. Okay, because in your brokenness, it seems like you seek God's face the most. Because you asking him questions. I feel it coming on me now. You asking him questions, at that moment, and he's talking to you. And that's why you have to put social media to the side and people, and you get in that quiet space that Maxine and Katrina is talking about, and you hear from God, and God begins to download to you. He gives you information. That's when wisdom comes. That's when knowledge comes. That's when understanding comes, because man can't give it to you. Google can't give it to you. They'll help you out with some stuff, but God gives you the process. Your imperfections becomes your purpose to lead someone else to him. And you be able to define his greatness in your uniqueness of your failure. You grow and you birth out everything that he has on the inside of you at that instance.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to say this also, Sylvia. Often we realize that we are out here, doing, as we say, sinful things like drinking, fornicating, the millennials, because that kept me out of church for many years, because I was raised, you couldn't dance, you couldn't drink, you couldn't fornicate. That's sinful. You're either on the right path or you're not. You couldn't be in between. You couldn't be lukewarm, as they say. You couldn't be warm. You hot or you cold. So for many years, I didn't go to church because I knew I was doing stuff that I shouldn't do. I had never even danced with a boy until I went to college. I had never even went to a dance. I had never go to a dance. So when I did, I'm like, what? This stuff is good around here. Okay. So, but the thing is, it kept me out of church because I'm going to dances and I'm doing this, I'm hanging out, and you couldn't do that. So that kept me out a long time. And finally, the light bulb came on. You don't have to be perfect.
That's right.
You don't have to be perfect to serve and worship me. You will never be perfect.
Yes.
You have shortcomings like everybody else. It took me about 15 years. Wow. I stayed away for 15 years, but God never left me. He never left me. I left him, but he never left me because he took care of me during some trying times. I had a lot of trials and tribulations during those 15 years, but he was right there.
Wow.
And I shared the first one. Enough was in the book. I just walked away, but I didn't leave you. You left me, but I didn't leave you.
Oh my God.
That's good.
So that's the issue. A lot of people think you have to be perfect. You do not.
No.
Right. That's it.
Never be perfect.
Right.
You can only try. Okay, I messed up today. Okay, I ran off at the mouth a little bit too much today. Oh, I lied today. Oh, I did this today. Oh, I looked at that man lustfully today. We all do imperfect things because we're imperfect beings. And once you realize that, God will forgive you. He will forgive you and forgive you and forgive you because you'll never be perfect. That's what Jesus came. That's what he came.
Yes.
That's the reason Jesus came.
When our viewer said, you are giving my testimony, Shermanita Carter, she said, you are giving my testimony.
Awesome.
Being perfect. You don't have to be perfect, Shermanita. I love it. Okay, something else I want us to discuss. Sometimes it takes an empathetic change in your life to position you for, I'm reading my own handwriting, but I know it's for what's best for you, what's good. Is that the right quote out of the book, Maxine? Sometimes it takes an empathetic change in your life to position you for where you're supposed to be.
For your life. For your life.
For your life.
What God has planned for you. Yes.
Yes.
That goes back to Proverbs 19:21, where I said, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. It's God's purpose on the inside of us that creates and makes us be successful in our endeavors. It's our failures that causes us to want to get back up,
Yes.
And it's having that relationship with God that brings us to that pillow where we began to trust him more. Like Maxine said, we don't have to be perfect. And we were so screwed up for so many years because we lived a religious life. You know, religion have you thinking you gotta be perfect.
Yes. Talk about that, daughter. Talk about that.
You know, you can't dance. You can't. You know, you can't have a glass of wine. You know, that's religion. You know, God turned water into wine at the wedding. Come on now, let's keep it real. You know, he didn't expect for us to be perfect. He knew we wasn't going to be perfect. That's why he had his son Jesus to die on the cross for us. You know, so he could take care of all the mistakes that we were going to make. He already knew we were going to mess up. We were going to be a mishap. And he said, but I got you. You know, you're going to be okay. So, you know, I just love that when she said, we don't have to be perfect. And that's what's got a lot of people lost right now, because they think you gotta be perfect, you know, and they are so quick to point a finger at you, forgetting that the thumb is pointing back at them. You know, and they're not, you know, we don't take time to look in the mirror and see ourselves, but we're so busy trying to see what somebody else doing. Why don't we say, what could I do different to make a difference in the life or in someone else's life? How can I impart and implement change? How can I be an example? Yeah, I've been there. I've done that. Testimony. Your testimony. Telling somebody you've been there, done that, it's happened to you.
Yes.
Will make them realize I got a chance. You know? Man, let me shut up.
No, I love it. And I love the fact that you said religion, it can really mess up people's minds.
Yes.
Because I love wine, and I grew up in the church. I'm in the AME and stuff, you know, and people are like, oh, you love wine, don't you? But that's the first thing I tell them, Miss Dorothy, is Jesus turned water to wine.
Yeah.
I'd rather be
at the wedding when they was dancing at the wedding.
I'd rather be drinking the wine because I know Jesus did it. Then he don't have nothing about narcotics out there now. I ain't read nothing about it in the Bible. He made marijuana and other stuff. I mean, we know that's in a different way. Natural things can happen. Right. But I like the point that you pointed that out. Sometimes that is religion. That is not the whole life of the being. I love it. When people get lost in it, that is so true. That's good point. She highlights in the book Psalm 121 verses 5 through 8. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forever.
Yes.
Maxine, tell me why you had to put that psalm. You had to put that verse in there.
You know, because some people think, you always have to have a surplus. You don't always have to have a surplus for God to be with you. And I have often said, God, if I land in a ditch, as long as you're with me, I'll be okay. Yeah. In this ditch with you.
Yes.
I can't be okay without you. I can't be okay with you. I can't be okay with myself if I have a surplus without you. But I can be okay with you in a ditch.
Love it.
Yes. Yeah. Know that he's with you. Yes.
Here are some general questions about the work, the daily walk and the work that you all are doing. Who can tell me, what is your favorite part about this work?
I can speak for myself by saying I am always on assignment. My every move, my every encounter, you know, my exchange with other people, I'm just always in a position of being an assignment, you know, ready to hear, you know, or share whatever it is that the Creator would have me to share at that moment. And so that's how I move. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I move.
Love it. Ms. Dorothy.
You know, I try to find passion into every situation that I'm in, whether the situation is good or whether it's bad. And I try to conquer any fears that I may have during that time. And if I do that, I know that I will prevail. I'll be successful because I'm always constantly seeking to hear God to guide me and tell me what should I do next. Even when I go into a meeting or anything, I say, God, come on, let's go. Sometimes I may be walking and just throw my hand behind me and people wondering what I'm doing, but I'm reaching for him in the Holy Spirit to saying, come on, let's go handle this thing. You got me. I'm not in this alone. So I just find my passion in everything that I do and put all the fears behind me and keep moving.
Awesome. Maxine, what is your greatest reward, your favorite part of this?
Being able to use the many gifts that he has given. I'm so grateful. It took me many years to get here. People walk around often not knowing their gifts. So I think it's just so, it's an honor to work with people like Dorothy, to work with people like Katrina, to work with people like you, being in my play, just to use the gifts that he has given me. I'm grateful for that. I haven't always been able to use them. And I'm grateful for that. Being able to use my gifts to help someone else, to help actors shine, help people in the industry, to help someone else use their gifts.
That's good.
What is the best advice you all could give anyone who's watching on this journey of life?
It's never too late. No matter how old you get, it's never too late to use your God-given talents.
I've heard that is so true. I'm a living testimony.
And turn off that TV and that social media and all that stuff sometimes, and the news too, because all of those things are set up to be distractions, deliberate distractions that keep you from hearing the Most High. Turn that stuff off sometime.
Yeah. And I would say just let everything else fade in the background. Everything fade in the background and allow God to have more and more of your consciousness on a daily basis.
Yes.
I see a women's conference in the future for you all. I really do with this book.
We receive that.
I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere. You all have really shared those and some inspirational nuggets. What are some more goals that you all have for yourselves? Did you all make any vision boards down, anything like this? We are here in the month of May going into June for 2021. Did you all have any vision boards or any more goals you have for your life that you want to share?
I have a few books that I'm working on. I got a Healthy Women's Healthy Breast course that's out there. There are people that was something that as women, I'm just a really advocate for women. And as women, we weren't taught, certain things to me. We were taught how to, let's say, wash yourself or whatever, but not internally. There are certain minerals, that we're deficient in, and it's causing us to have mastectomies, and all kind of things. And I'm like, there's a way around it, and that direction is not the direction. There's some prevention. And so my goal is to help women, find those supplements and get those supplements into their body that they need, right? So that we can avoid these mastectomies, because we shouldn't be having stuff like, our breast removed, cut off, and all these other kind of sickness. There's a lot of sicknesses that we're dealing with. There's a lot of prevention, and our people don't know what these prevention is. You know what I'm saying? And they're simple and they're easy. And so these are some things that I'm working on in my book, because if I can curtail that one thing, show them there's certain supplements to take, mineral supplements, and certain foods to avoid, right? Because there are some things that happen, like in the 1980s, we're out here, eating this wheat bread, white bread, stuff like that. And it has bromide in it. And ever since that time, bromide is what's in that new car. We have that new car smell that people love. We're eating that. And we don't realize we're eating that. In a lot of other countries, the use of that in the flour has been banned, but in the United States, it's still allowed. You know what I'm saying? So in the future, these are some things that I'm working on. I'm working on my books and bringing this education to the people, because we just can't keep being manipulated and following medical propaganda. That's like can't keep happening.
That's powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Well, I see that women's conference coming up. That's what I see.
Don't you see it, Miss Dorothy? Don't you see it? I really
and I see a quarterly workshop with Christina.
Yes,
You know,
I see it. You all have so much information to share to the people that it's just it's too much experience and too much wisdom on one screen this evening. But you see, I'm just listening, and I have my little notepad. I'm taking notes. I love it. I love it. Miss Maxine, did you have anything else that do you have any vision board ideas for this year that you?
Not this year. I had some things on the table that I removed. I would love to get back on stage, of course. But in the future, I would love to turn some of the plays into, on film, movies. Yes. I would love to do that. That's my next goal, is to turn some of the plays, or either a new script, a movie script. But I would love to get on TV with some of the plays and have more of a variety, like the Hats. You never seen Hats. Hats is about dementia. More people need to know more about dementia. And the play, The Corner, all the homeless people that we see on a daily basis. You never know who you're entertaining when you see a homeless person. You don't know. And we're so quick to judge them, but you don't know who they are. They could be angels walking amongst us.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't know. Good. So I want to put stuff like that on a broader scale so more people can see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, your goals will lead to my favorite question to all of my guests, because I am a dreamer and I'm walking in my dream, which I had since I was in high school, singing and acting. So what are you all's biggest dream? You may have already accomplished it, but if someone had to ask you, what's your biggest dream?
Well, Maxine touched on mine when she was speaking, and that's one of my biggest dreams are television. That's one of my biggest goals, is to see some of Maxine's work, should I say, on television, and also to be a part of that on television. But I do have a goal to be on the screen and to be globally recognized, doing something for the kingdom of God, in a positive manner, and drawing people to the kingdom of God. Yeah.
And then my dream is I'm in the military right now, and I'm chasing after that 9/11 GI Bill, that post 9/11 GI Bill, so that I can get into this naturopathic doctor program. Because I know a lot now that I could do, but sometimes some people need you to have that title. And if that's the sacrifice that I have to make to help save my people, I'll do that.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Good. Great. Good. Yes.
Well, we're behind you 100%. Trust me.
Yes, that's wonderful. Miss Maxine, so yours is to get your plays.
I want to get in the film industry. Yeah, I just want to get in the film industry to, it's more global that way. On stage, it's you're confined, but when you reach the film end of it, it's more global. You have more of an aspect or a broader avenue to let your work be seen and to help others.
Before I show the clip, because I want to share with our viewers the clip of the testimony, so I can make sure everybody sees it, so they'll know how to go to YouTube. How do you all balance? How do you self-care? What do you do? I'm with Miss Dorothy. Jesus turned water to wine. You all wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
I'll self-balance all of this.
Well, with the COVID going on, you can't do too much but stay confined anyway. So that gives you an opportunity to do a lot. So because you're confined all day. So my balance is just working. I have a grandson that just left my nest, and I really miss him. I had been taking care of him for a year. So, and he was a witness how much I worked doing the book testimonies. But since he isn't here now, man, my goodness, I got a lot of free time.
You have a lot of free time.
Yes. I guess you haven't seen, I'll be decorating them out in the yard or doing it in the house. You haven't seen some of my posts on Facebook. But yes, I'm just all over the place. God gave me that creative gift, and I like creating. I love creating. I just love it.
Okay.
Great. Anyone else want to share before I show the promo?
You know, successful people challenge themselves every day, you know, to grow and employ every resource that's been made available to them. And now that we're inside of the house, you know, we got to use the YouTubes and, you know, and social media and tap into those people that we know, like a Maxine and Crystal, you know, everybody, you know, and you and you and you and you. And you say, well, what can we do? How can we make this happen? You know, and use our Zoom. So I just think that we should just continue to challenge ourselves on a daily basis to be all that we can be and tap into all of those resources that have been made available to us so that we can be successful in all of our endeavors.
I can say this one thing too, because Dorothy has coached to me. Katrina has poured into me. So I have, you know, been very, very blessed to have both of these ladies in my life because they both have poured into me as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Max.
Mm-hmm.
Katrina, did you want to add?
Yeah. Okay. What did I want to add? I did want to add this back to health again, because this is where I am with women's health. Okay. And that is, a lot of times I can tell if you had a baby with a learning disability, or if a woman was infertile, or she's multiple miscarrying, or she had that baby that died in stillbirth, all of those things tell me a lot about the female. Whatever it is she gave birth, however it is she gave birth, didn't give birth, didn't conceive, those things tell me a lot about her health. So I'll say to a woman who is infertile, your infertility speaks to your mother. Your infertility is not yours. It's your mother's situation. And then I can speak right to whatever health issues mom is having, right? So and then I can tell you that woman's deficiencies, which is because that baby needs minerals in order to survive. That means mom had to have the minerals to begin with to get to the baby, right? So that means that grandmom didn't have enough minerals when she had her baby. You know what I'm saying? And so these are the type of things that I speak to. So I saw a comment where someone said, yeah, I had my breast removed too. So those are the type of things that I want to put an end to. And we can't be looking to medical propaganda. They just want the money. They just want the dollars.
That's it.
By any means necessary. So I'm on this other page right here. You know what I'm saying? How to put a stop to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm on that page. That's it.
Yes.
And it's powerful.
Absolutely.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. Now we're going to share with everyone testimonies, the video. So let me share my screen. I love it. So whoever is watching, and it can be found on YouTube.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Yeah. We making, miracle working, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Way making, miracle working, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you.
That was good.
That was powerful.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
most powerful, and I had to make sure that it's part of the taping because it's just so powerful in the singing
Yeah.
the visual, and then slowing it down. I was slowing it down, reading everybody's information. So I'm pretty sure that probably anyone who watches this after it goes live on YouTube on my channel, that I will hope and I will encourage you, the viewers, to slow it down and read about each person whose story is going to be shared in the book. That's most powerful, most powerful. So I just want to thank you all so much for spending this time with Sylvia Camille on Sunday Night Live. Where can the people follow you all before we close out? Where can they look for you? Find you on Instagram, Facebook? I know, Miss Katrina, we got to put the noise down. But yeah, they want to inbox you because the information that you share about our health, and especially for women, somebody might want to DM you. So just one by one, you can tell us where we can follow you on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Facebook, Trina Ravenel, not Katrina, but Trina Ravenel. They'll find me on Facebook.
Okay.
You can find me on Maxwell Pro on Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, Maxwell Pro.
And I can be found on YouTube, Dorothy D. Hart on YouTube channel. I can be found on Instagram as well as D Heartbeat, as well as Facebook on Dorothy Hart Enterprises.
Awesome. So
I'm sorry, you're right. I forgot about the YouTube. Yeah, Maxine Williams Wright. I'm sorry. And also go to the website for the book, maxwellproductions.com for the book testimonies. maxwellproductions.com.
Awesome. Well, you ladies, don't go away. Just hold on for 1 second for me, okay?
Okay.
Oh my God, guys. Now, I learned so much. I'm going to have to play this over again, but I want to leave you with these 4 inspirational nuggets from our guest tonight. 1, turn off the noise so that you can hear from God. It's never too late. It's never too late. No, it's not. As long as you believe and you're still breathing, you have air, and you're amongst the people, it's never too late. Let everyone else fade in the background. That means you focus on yourself and challenge yourselves daily. I love it. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for spending this hour with Sylvia Camille. Same time, same place. Don't forget to like, comment, share. And in 2 weeks, Sylvia Camille has some exciting news that I'm going to share with you that's been birthed through pain. Love you guys. Smooches.